Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a Dark Magician Girl deck profile. So you guys actually requested this deck like crazy for me to do an updated version of this, where actually I put a community post out in the community tab about what decks you guys actually wanted to see me update. And with a resounding like 40 likes on one comment in that community post, you guys overwhelmingly asked for an update for Dark Magician Girl. So here it is. I am super excited to actually update this one for you guys, because it is amazing and super fun to play around with and kind of annoying for your opponent to play against, and it's just an overall fun deck to play around with it. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below, where we have some awesome rewards for you guys, like getting a description for every single video, getting a signed card sent in the mail, or even getting to request a deck profile every single month that you're a patron, along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Dark Magician Girl. You got to play 3 copies of Dark Magician Girl. She is hands down the best card in the entire deck that you got to be playing around with. And her effect is that she gains 300 attack for each Dark Magician or Dark Magician of Black Chaos in either player's graveyard. So she's extremely important and the main combo piece of the entire deck. So you have to play 3 copies of her. We then play 3 copies of Apprentice Illusion Magician. She is my favorite, as you can probably tell by the playmat, of all the Magician Girls. She is super easy to summon, and she is absolutely amazing. Her effect is that you can discard any card from your hand to special summon her to your side of the field, and then you instantly get to add a copy of a Dark Magician from your deck to your hand, which is insanely good. And then if a Dark Spellcaster type monster battles an opponent's monster, you can discard her from your hand to the graveyard, or send her from your field to the graveyard to make that Dark Spellcaster gain an additional, get this, 2,000 attack points. That is absolutely insane. This card is really, really good. We then play 3 copies of Dark Magician. So you play the 3 copies of Dark Magician because he works so well with Dark Magician Girl, but this is her show. You have to keep that in mind, because you're basically trying to get out Dark Magician Girl as quickly as possible to your side of the field, and getting him in the graveyard is where you want Dark Magician more to increase her attack points. We then play a single copy, yes, a single copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon. Because we play so many Dark Magicians in this deck, you do play a single Dragoon, or you play 2 Dragoons in the extra deck. So the copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon is very important in this deck, just to go into Dragoons. If you don't want to play this, you can drop it out and play a copy of your, like a hand trap or something like that, that you just don't want to play the copy of Dragoon. So, but I highly recommend that you do. So, for the other cards that we're playing in here, we are going to be playing 3 copies of Magician's Souls as well. The 3 copies of Magician's Souls come in super handy in this deck because they had the ability that you can send 2 spell or traps from your hand and or field to the graveyard to draw that many cards. And if this card is in your hand, you can send 1 level 6 or higher spellcaster type monster from your deck to the graveyard to activate one of these effects. You either special summon this card or send this card to the graveyard, then special summon a Dark Magician Girl or a Dark Magician from your graveyard, which is pretty good to be able to get a Dark Magician Girl back to your side of the field. However, if this card is entirely too expensive for you, I totally understand. This card is extremely expensive for a deck that you're going to be playing as maybe an anti-meta deck or just a rogue fun deck. If you want to drop this card out, you totally can, and play 3 copies of Fusion Deployment in its place. That is totally an option. I think Fusion Deployments are running about $10 right now. So it is a valid option. You're going to be saving about $210 just by not getting these and getting the Fusion Deployments, because last time I checked, these were $80 a piece. We then play, for the other cards in the deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of Kiwi Magician Girl. Kiwi Magician Girl is a really good card that during either player's turn you can discard her, and the Magician Girls you currently control gain 300 attack and defense for each Magician Girl who with a different name on the field or in the graveyard until the end of the turn. And then while she's on the field, spellcaster monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects, and your opponent cannot target them with card effects either. We then play 3 copies of Chocolate Magician Girl. Chocolate Magician Girl is really good at draw power in this deck because she has the ability that once per turn you can discard a spellcaster to draw a card. And then a lot of your spellcasters from here on out, like your Chocolate, Apple, Lemon, and Berry Magician Girls, have the ability that you can discard you have the ability that you can target one, if they're targeted for an attack, you get to target a spellcaster monster in your graveyard except another copy of itself and special summon them, and then change the attack target to that monster, and then the monster that's attacking loses half their attack. We then play a single copy of Apple Magician Girl. Apple Magician Girl is really good because she lets you once per turn, if she's targeted for an attack, you can special summon a level 5 or lower spellcaster type monster from your hand and then change the attack target to that monster, and if you do, the attacking monster's attack becomes halved. And then if this card is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can target 3 spellcaster type monsters with different names in your graveyard and add them back to your hand. We then play a single copy of Lemon Magician Girl. You can once per turn tribute a Magician Girl, and then you get to add a spellcaster type monster from your deck to your hand, which is really, really cool. And then she also has a really neat effect that once per turn, if this card is targeted for an attack, then you can special summon 1 spellcaster type monster from your hand, but its effects are negated, if any, and then change the attack target to that, and half the monster that's attacking's attack. We then play 3 of the best one in the entire deck, and that is 3 copies of Berry Magician Girl because she is a searcher. That is, she's normal summon, you get to add any Magician Girl monster from your deck to your hand. And then once per turn, if she's targeted for an attack or by a card effect, then you can change the attack target, or excuse me, once per turn during either player's turn when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets this card for an attack or then effect, you can change this target's battle position and view you special summon 1 Dark Magician Girl or 1 Magician Girl monster from your deck, which is just straight from the deck, which is super good. We then play for the last 3 monsters 3 copies of Magician's Rod because it searches literally any card that mentions Dark Magician except for Eye of Timaeus, which is absolutely insane and is a really, really good overall card in this deck to be able to just search any of those cards. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Called by the Grave because you can only play 1, and it's super helpful to play the 1 Called by the Grave to stop your opponent's hand traps. We play a single copy of Dark Magic Attack. Dark Magic Attack is easily searchable in this deck, and if you control Dark Magician, then you get to destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls. We play a single copy of Dark Burning Magic, which is, again, searchable by a card that we're about to show you guys, but if you control a Dark Magician and a Dark Magician Girl, you get to destroy all cards your opponent controls, which is absolutely insane, and a really good disruption against your opponent. We then play a single copy of Bond Between Teacher and Student. Bond Between Teacher and Student is a really, really, really good card in this deck because it has the ability, if you control a Dark Magician, then you get special summon a Dark Magician Girl from your hand, deck, or grave, and then you get to set a Dark Magic Attack, Dark Burning Magic, Dark Burning Magic Attack, or a Dark Burning Twin Magic Burst directly from your deck to your side of the field, which is really good. You don't search any of those 4, but these are the only 2 that you're ever going to be searching in the deck, which is Dark Magic Attack or Dark Burning Attack, or Dark Burning Magic, which is the 2 most important cards in the entire deck. We then play a single copy of Red Eyes Fusion to help you go into Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, a single copy of Magical Eyes Fusion, again, kind of helps you go into Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, or your copy of the Dark Magicians, which is super helpful to be able to go into in this particular deck. We then play a single copy of the Eye of Timaeus, which again gets you literally into any copy of any of your Dark Magicians fusions that you can possibly ever want to go into, like your copy of Dragoons, your copy of Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight, or your copy of the Dark Magicians. This card is insanely good. We then play a single copy of Secrets of Dark Magic, which is essentially a quick play fusion spell to be able to get into literally any of our fusion monsters again. And then we play 3 copies of Dark Magical Circle. This card lets you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and then if you do, you get to reveal Dark Magician or a card that specifically lists Dark Magician in its card text, and add that card from your deck to your hand. And then if a Dark Magician is special summoned to your side of the field, then you get to, guess what, remove a card on the field from the grave to the graveyard, or remove a card on the field from play, which is really cool. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're just playing 5 traps. We're playing 3 copies of Eternal Soul and 2 copies of the Magician's Navigation. The copy of Eternal Soul is really good because every Dark Magician in your spell, every Dark Magician in your monster zone is unaffected by your opponent's card effects, period. And if this face of card leaves the field, destroy all monsters you control, which is kind of bad, but not that big of a deal because it's usually not going to happen. And then it also has the ability that you can once per turn special summon a Dark Magician from your hand or graveyard. And then the effect of your Magician's Navigation, if you you can special summon a Dark Magician from your hand, and then you can special summon a level 7 or lower Dark Magician, or level 7 or lower Dark Spellcaster monster, which is all going to be Dark Magician Girl from your deck to your side of the field. And then you can manage this card from your graveyard except the turn was sent there to be able to target a card on the field and negate that card's effects. That's a spell or trap card. So it's a really, really, really good effect to be able to just negate those cards' effects well. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of the Dark Magicians. Dark Magicians is a really good card that has the ability that you have to use Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl plus any one other spellcast trap monster. So it just takes 2 cards to go into this card. Really, really, really easy to summon. It has the ability that once per turn, if a spell or trap or effect is activated, then you can draw a card. And then if it was a spell or trap, you can set it this turn. And if it was a trap or a quick play spell, you can activate it the same turn it was set. And if this card is destroyed, then you can special summon both one Dark Magician and a Dark Magician Girl from your hand, deck, or graveyard. We then play 2 copies of Red Eye's Dark Dragoon. This card is really good, really busted. You play it as a 2-of because it's so easy to summon in this particular deck, and I love this card. But if you don't want to play it, you don't have to. You can substitute it out with a Big Eye, and you can summon it out with a Quintet Magician if you want to go that route, and then drop the copy of your Red Eye's Fusion and a copy of the Red Eye's Black Dragon if you want to go that route, and play a copy of maybe an Upstart Goblin or 2 hand traps like a Monster Reborn and an Upstart Goblin in the deck as well if you don't want to play that. And you can drop this for a copy of Quintet and a copy of number 11 Big Eye. We then play a single copy of Dark Magician the Dragon Knight. Dark Magician the Dragon Knight has a really cool effect that makes it so your opponent cannot target your spells and traps or destroy them by your opponent's card effects in your spell and trap card zone, which is really cool for that extra spell and trap protection. I love this card and it's absolutely insane. 1 copy of Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight. She has a really cool effect that lets you target a card on the field and destroy it. That you can once per turn send a card from your hand and then target a card on the field and destroy it. And she's 2,600 attack points, which is pretty good. We then play for the 3 Xyz monsters. We play a single copy of Flare Metal. Flare Metal is just a really good card in this deck to be able to inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent, which is an amazing effect every time they breathe. And then we play a single copy of Ebon Illusion Magician because this card is really good to be able to detach a material from this and then special summon a normal spellcaster from your deck, which you know is always going to be Dark Magician. And then when that Dark Magician battles, you're going to be able to banish a card on the field. We then play a single copy of Noriado, the Moral Leader, because you play so many level 6 spellcasters in this deck, from the Dark Magician Girl to the Ebon Illusion Magician, which is this card is really, really, really good. Or the Apprentice Illusion Magician, excuse me. This card is really good to be able to just negate spells and traps. 1 copy of Access Code just to be able to pop additional stuff. If you don't, again, if you're going for more of a budget build, you can drop this for Boral Load or Appaloosa now that she's gotten another reprint. 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn. This card's really, really good to be able to bounce stuff. 1 copy of Selene. This card is really, really, really good to climb into a copy of Access Code because it has the ability that for every spell or spell in your graveyard, you put a spell counter on it, and then you can remove 3 spell counters, especially summon a spellcaster monster from your hand or grave in defense to zone this card points to, which then you can then link away this into an Access Code talker with the spellcaster you just brought back. So essentially you can make 3, you can make 4 in your link arrows as long as you're playing Selene and you have 3 spells in your graveyard. 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix to be able to pop spells and traps. Cross Sheet because you play so many fusion monsters in this particular deck. 1 copy of Verte Anaconda, again because you play a lot of fusions in this deck and you play a lot of fusion spells. And then a single copy of Link Rebo as well because you have the ability to go in a Link Rebo with your copy of your Berry Magician Girl and your copies of your Magician Soul. So this card's really good in the deck too. Plus, you're playing Dark Magicians, so why wouldn't you play Kuriboh in the deck? It just goes and is fitting. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a really fun deck to play around with. I hope I helped you out with the budget options that I did mention throughout the video. I hope that does help, like with the Access Code Talker and the copy of Dragoons. That is just a really, really, really good budget option. If you're trying to build Dark Magician Girl, there's no reason you shouldn't, especially with how budget the Dark Magician Girl deck can be if you go for the budget options. And she is an overall amazing fun deck just to play around with the Magician Girls themselves. So that's it for this deck, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome awards. And we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.